Hello, how are you today? I'm very excited to be speaking to you. As always, I feel like this is the same thing I say every single time that I'm excited to be here and all of this good stuff. But truly, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, this brings me so much joy to bring you as much information as possible so that you have a place to go. You have a place to come when you are in need. No matter what you're struggling with, there is something here for you. It's literally there if just by searching, really. At the click of a button, you can access all kinds of incredible information to support you in your own growth and expansion. Today we have a topic that is a really good one. And if you did my email series, and depending on who you are and how you found me, you may have done it, you may not have done it. If you have not done it, drop me a comment below and I will go ahead and get you the link for that. But part of what that series explores is this idea of challenging and going through your blocks or your obstacles. So though I realize that is a part of my free email series, I haven't actually delved or dove deep into the concept or the topic of limiting beliefs themselves here within the community. So I thought, this is a good time to do that, because believe it or not, and I'm sure I've told you this many times, your thoughts can actually have a tremendous influence on how you see your reality, the lens through which you live your life. And if the majority of the thoughts you're thinking or the beliefs that you have, the very foundation of your values, are rooted in obstacles, challenges, or they're limiting, meaning they're holding you back, the goal then is to process out those limiting beliefs, understand their origin, find out where they came from so that you can knock them down and start anew. Because ultimately, you are a being of potentiality, possibility, probability. Like, your capacity to create a life for yourself or to cultivate a life for yourself that is exactly how you want it, not how society wants it, your parents want it, your kids want it, your school teacher, work, how you want it. If you can think it, you can make it a reality. But sometimes those limiting beliefs are going to be the very thing that stop you from believing and stepping into that power that you have within you. So this is a profound topic and one I'm very passionate about. But I'm passionate about all topics, but this one specifically hits close to home because it is, like I said, part of my email series as well. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I will answer every single one of them. But with that said, let's move on to talking about limiting beliefs. And just kind of a word on this. There are kind of several different ways people refer to this in the wellness world, therapy world, counseling, coaching world. Some people call them limiting beliefs. Some people refer to them as blocks. Could be toxic core beliefs, could be programming. There's a number of different ways that they can be referred to, but ultimately they are talking about the same thing: programmed beliefs that can hold you back. And we're going to talk a little bit about ones that you want to have in place and some of the ones you don't want to have in place. And as a note as well too, before we move on and talk about and break this topic down, I want to cater to your needs first and foremost. So if there is a topic that you want me to cover, if there's something that you haven't seen in my library, or there's something specific you'd like me to discuss or get my personal opinion on, please let me know. I am here to serve and support in whatever way I can. So if there's something that's kind of missing that you would like to see, let me know. Send me a message, drop a comment, however you get in touch with me. It doesn't really matter. I will go ahead and I will oblige if it is something that I have education in. So moving along, limiting beliefs. This live might be for you, and you might be here today if you recognize there are certain beliefs or values that are keeping you from meeting your own desired life goals. So there's something holding you back. Certain beliefs or values or patterns of behavior, programs that are like, wait a minute, I would love to go and I would love to make singing my career, but my parents always told me that singing wasn't a job, it was just a hobby. That is a limiting belief, and one that isn't yours, but that came to you. So if you have a sense that there are certain beliefs like that within you that you want to move through, that's one of the reasons you might be watching. The beliefs that you held near and dear to your heart, so what you grew up with, your very foundation, no longer seem to fit who you are as a person, right? And this tends to happen as we get older. Like everything we once knew, everything that we were taught all of a sudden doesn't, like, it seemed to fit, it seemed to fit, it seemed to fit. And then we come to this point in life where we start to get stuck, and then we think, wait a minute, is everything that I thought and believed actually true? Or do I need to kind of review this, revise this, and see what is holding me back, what is foundational, and what needs to be released in order for me to step into my highest purpose? So that's an interesting one, and it can feel very scary. And if you're scared when you're doing it, that is completely normal, just to put that out there. And if you're tired of being shaped by outdated thinking patterns that no longer serve your highest and greatest good, this is an excellent topic, because it's going to give you an indication or a behind the scenes look as to what could be happening that is making you feel that way. And in order to begin shifting your life in a way that is not as challenging, that isn't as blocked or full of obstacles or perceived obstacles, because remember, you're living your life. You're the person that's living it and existing in it every single day. So if you perceive things as obstacles and they're actually limiting beliefs, you're going to have difficulty shifting your life, because those are always going to hold you back without even you being aware of it. That's the thing. So many of these beliefs are so hardwired into who you are as a human being. You subconsciously might not even, you consciously rather, might not even know that this is what's going on behind the scenes, because it's subconscious, it's not conscious, so it's not top of mind. And if you feel stuck and stagnant and feel as though limiting beliefs could be the culprit, I'm hoping that you'll get a lot of really great information throughout this topic today. And if you learned about or heard a little bit about limiting beliefs and want to explore it on a deeper level, and kind of work through it or learn about it from somebody that you're familiar with, that is another great reason to keep watching. But before we can move on, before we can actually really dissect limiting beliefs, we need to define it, because maybe not everybody knows what it is, or not. You might not know what the definition is, or that it's even something that's going on behind the scenes in your own life. So let's chat about that. The American Psychological Association defines limiting beliefs as false beliefs that prevent you from pursuing goals and desires, that keep you from doing important things like applying for a job, discovering or leaving relationships. They come in different varieties, and there are three main types. So I'm going to go through those right now, and each of them have subcategories. This is such a huge topic. I'm only covering kind of the high level aspects of it here today, but I mean, you can dive really deeply into this. So let's talk about the three kind of different types, most common types of limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs about yourself, meaning making you feel rather that you cannot do something or take action because there's something wrong with you specifically. So let's take an example. Okay, so let's say you're a creative. You love to paint. You love to you make sculptures. Maybe you love to draw. You love to do pencil work, whatever it is. Let's say you're a creative, but you are of the opinion that you're a terrible artist. And when you look back and you reflect on that, and you start to think about your grade 9 art teacher, that wanted you to fit in a box. And when you didn't fit in a box, because most artists kind of move to the beat of their own drum, their minds are far more abstract, and they have difficulty limiting themselves or working within a box. So your grade 9 art teacher tells you you're a terrible artist, you can't listen to directions, and gives you a C in that class, right? Now think about the impact that has on you. Why now, today, presently, you think I'm a terrible artist? That has then become a foundational limiting belief that you cannot be an artist, you cannot make it in that industry, because your grade 9 art teacher told you that you were not a good artist because you did not fit in the box they needed you to fit in. So you can see how they start to develop. So you think there's something wrong with you, when in actual fact, it was the teacher that just couldn't see your brilliance, that couldn't see the way your mind worked. So it then becomes a limiting belief. And when you go for opportunities in terms of pursuing your art full time as a passion, as a job, as a passion, you're going to be kind of held back, because you're always going to be thinking, well, my grade 9 teacher told me that I was a crappy artist. And now it's a limiting belief. And until you can kind of release that belief, it's going to continue to hold you back. So those are limiting beliefs about yourself. So let's talk about limiting beliefs as it relates to the world around you. So this can be kind of similar to victim mentality. So you're of the belief that you can't do something because of circumstances or others, or other people won't allow you to do so. And this can come down to things that you've learned as a child. Let's say someone told you you're odd or you're strange. So you should be more normal, quote unquote. So your whole life you grew up thinking that you're abnormal. I hate that word. You're not the standard. So you begin to think, wait, I can't talk to strangers. I can't talk to people or meet new people or make connections because they're going to think I'm odd, or they are going to think I'm strange. So then you kind of adopt this victim mentality of things you can and cannot do based on a belief that someone kind of told you that there was something wrong with you, or you're not allowed, or you don't meet a societal expectation. And really, I mean, at the end of the day, this is your life, your soul contract, your journey. Those who judge you have no place to be in your life. So talk to the stranger, make connections, make friends, be who you are. That's what I have to say about that. That's a complete caveat, but I love a caveat. And the final, most common limiting belief is around life itself. Life is hard. It's too difficult. I can't do anything. Nothing good ever happens to me. This kind of thinking about life itself being difficult is a limiting belief. And it's one that's been bred into us over and over and over again it's multifaceted. It came from a million different places, right? But and a good example of this is there's not enough hours in the day. You can't do anything. How many times have you said that? There just isn't enough hours in the day, right? So people tend to think then that there's no time to pursue their goals because they're busy working their corporate job, tending to kids, tending to the house, doing all of the duties society says comes first. So there's no time, there's not enough hours. But that's just a perception. Time is a social construct. It's an illusion, but you've been bred to believe this limiting belief that there is no time. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you think there isn't enough time, the next time that thought populates in your brain, because it will, it happens to all of us, try instead thinking, this isn't important enough to me. This simply is not a priority, right? Because it's easy to blame time. It's easy to blame time for you not pursuing your goals, not pursuing your dreams, shifting your life, working with a counselor, dealing with the challenges that have kind of rooted themselves in your way of being from a very young age. It's easy to blame it on time. That's like our default, like a defense mechanism. But if you start saying, this isn't important enough to me, or it's not a priority, that changes the flavor entirely. It puts the onus back on you, and you see what's happening for real as opposed to just kind of blaming it on time. So that is my challenge to you, because you will see, you'll be like, oh, that hurts my heart thinking this isn't a priority. This is a priority. This is important to me. And all of a sudden the motivation kicks in and you're like, man, I can make time for this because it's important. It's a priority. That way of thinking can really change your ability to be motivated and take on what you want in your own life. And a word on this too, and I said I mentioned this earlier, that you want to keep in mind when you're dealing with limiting beliefs that there are certain limiting beliefs that are in place that are as a means to protect you. So, for example, you might have a belief or a core belief, a limiting belief, in this case, that violence is wrong. So that will keep you from harming others who upset you, right? So some of them are in place for a good reason, like violence is wrong, harming others is wrong. It is a limiting belief in that it limits you from doing that action. You see what I'm saying? It keeps you and prevents you. It's a core foundational belief that prevents you from doing harm to others because that is deeply rooted within you. So this one isn't particularly standing in your way for a quote unquote bad reason. It's standing in your way to protect you, to keep you from doing that action. So I wanted to kind of differentiate there, because there are some in place that you need in your life, but for the majority of them, limiting beliefs are holding you back. Truly, they are. So, and it's important to keep in mind as well, and I've talked about this many times, beliefs, or rather thoughts, are not facts. We tend to think that because our brain thinks it, because it's in our head, it's a fact. But that is not the case. Thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts are the ego mind that are on repeat, pressing play each and every day, habitual in nature, going. A lot of them are subconscious. You don't even know you're thinking them. They are not facts. So just because you think something such as, I can't do it, there's no way I am brave enough to do this, I don't have time, it's too expensive. Anytime you're having those types of thoughts, they aren't necessarily facts. They're programmed to go on repeat, like you bust out your tape recorder, hit rewind, and then play again. So they're not facts, they're just habits. Keep that in the back of your mind as well. But and the thing is with this is that so many of these sorry, my hair's in the way. So many of these deep-seated beliefs that you have that are foundationally coming from when you were a child, they get mistaken for facts because you've heard them so many times. You've heard them over and over again. Maybe some of these beliefs came from your own primary caregivers. So when you've heard it from the time you were very, very small, maybe from, the time you were born until now, like for me, I'm 41, right? So if I heard that same belief from then until now, that's programmed in there. So I believe it to be true so very deeply. And it's not until I do my own internal work and realize that those values are no longer in alignment with how I actually feel, they are going to limit me from pursuing my dreams. They are going to limit me or prevent me or keeping me from going after what it is I want. And I will give you a personal example in terms of pursuing my work as a counselor, where I am standing here now. I went to school quite late in life. And everyone, I'm telling you, everyone thought, like, what are you doing? Like, you have an amazing job, you're making good money, you're driving a nice car, you live in a nice house. Why would you go back to school? What is wrong with you? You can't do that. How are you going to afford it? These were the types of things I were hearing. Now, not from my immediate support circle, they were incredible, but these were the types of things I was hearing from people around me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, if I believed that, if I believed I was too old, it was too late, I couldn't make it work, if I hadn't done my own therapeutic work on those limiting beliefs, I would still be working a corporate job that wasn't in alignment with who I am. I would still be doing the societal grind, and I wouldn't be standing here in my passion, in my purpose, supporting incredible women such as yourself. So I had to do a lot of internal work to get rid of those limiting beliefs in order to go ahead and pursue those dreams. And the more I pursued it, the more I followed those breadcrumbs, the more I took one step, putting one foot in front of the other, the more things fell into place. Because I said, you know what, I'm done with these limiting beliefs. I'm done with it. I can do anything I want. And the universe said, okay, let's do it. You and me are in this together. And everything has fallen into place since then. But it took me squashing those beliefs and recognizing my own potentiality, recognizing that I had the power to shift my own reality, that it was within, that it didn't come from other people, that it came from me. But it meant I had to get rid of all of those limiting beliefs, because they were crowding my mind, and I had no clue because I didn't have the information or the education to understand what they truly were. So, and perhaps you might not know. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through some of the most common limiting beliefs for you so that you can kind of have an idea. But before I do that, I found a great comment. I found a great quote from Tony Robbins, and it really defines everything we're talking about here. And it is that the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. And if that story is filled with limiting beliefs, meaning they're in your subconscious mind, you don't even know they're working in the background, it's time to do some work. So let's talk about most common limiting beliefs. I am deeply flawed and unlovable. I am stupid, dumb, less intelligent than others. I don't have what it takes. I am worthless and undeserving. I am too weak to get what I want or to go for it. I am broken and unstable. I'm a bad person. I don't, I can't, I must not, I am not. Others would think I'm fill in the blanks. Any sentences that start with any of those. I don't have time. I can't afford it. And this one, I hear more in the wellness world, in my circle, my community, with all of my peers than any other. I cannot afford it. And it is because we are programmed to believe that our own health and wellness is not a priority, that it is foolish. Think about the stigma still around seeking counseling. Still to this day in 2021, how many people frown upon, or like, oh, why are you seeing a counselor, or have this idea or this belief that your private life should be kept private and you should just deal with it within your own heart and your own soul, and you shouldn't ever talk to anybody about your problems. Think about how many people still believe that, still cannot see that investing in your own personal development is the best investment that you could ever make, because it will change the entire trajectory of your life. It'll change everything. But people are bred like, I can't afford it. But it's like, where there's a will, there's a way. I didn't think I could afford school. And had I not pursued it anyway, I would not have made it come to fruition. I got more bursaries, more money given to me by the college than I've ever could have imagined. But had I had that mentality, it's too expensive, I can't afford it, and didn't just try and make it work for myself, I would still be back where I wasn't happy. So that mentality of I can't afford it, it's one of the biggest limiting beliefs that hold people back from getting what they want. And I'm telling you, where there is a will, there is an absolute way. And if it's meant for you, you can make it happen. And sorry, that was a tangent, but I'm very passionate about that, because had I not invested in my own mental health, had I not invested in school, I would be so different than I am right now. I would still be tethered and chained to the past, filled with self-doubt, anxiety, low self-worth, feeling undeserving. It would just, my life changed. Anyways, moving on. I don't have what it takes to be successful. I don't have any gifts, talents, skills. I'll never make enough money. These are all limiting beliefs. And there's piles more, there's heaps more. But if you think about it, think about how many of those apply to you. Think about how many of those are actually going through your mind. Maybe one, maybe more, maybe heaps of them. Anyways, I'm going to start moving along. I didn't realize it's been 20 minutes. If you're still sticking with me, excellent. So let's talk quickly about how limiting beliefs form, because I think that's important for you to know as you navigate them. Many of these beliefs come from your experiences, your childhood experiences, what you went through, who taught you things, what situations or experiences you navigated in your life, because from those experiences you then form conclusions that become the foundation for your limiting beliefs, and then they root onto them. So, and keep in mind too, limiting beliefs also have an emotional aspect to them, or perhaps a consequence associated with them, which is why they're limiting. So if we take the artist example, if you never thought you were any good at art because your grade 9 teacher couldn't understand your work, that is an emotional consequence, because that teacher made you feel bad about what you were creating. So then there's an emotionality, I don't know if that's a word, but it is today, associated with this idea that you can't do art or you can't create. So it's given you a belief that you're carrying with you until this very moment, and it was through experience. So that's one way. Education is another. And education comes from, and this is what I'm talking about, most of your values or beliefs are shaped by those who cared for you early on. Parents, teachers, community, society, maybe you're a member of a church or whatever it is. All of those people around you, as you were growing up, they gave you the foundation for your belief systems, and if some of them were limiting beliefs, you then learned it. It became learned behavior, and as you learn it over and over again, then it comes programmed, and as it's programmed, it becomes subconscious, and when it's subconscious, it's going in the background, and you don't even know it. You don't even know what's holding you back. But that's through the education process. And then finally, through fear. So think about the number of limiting beliefs that I just talked about. How many of them are rooted in fear? So many of them. Fear is the catalyst that is keeping you stuck. In fact, you might even use it to prevent yourself from making any sort of progress. And it's because fear is deeply ingrained in us as Homo sapiens. It literally is part of evolution. It kept you safe for as long as you have existed. But there are no lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, there's a whole different set of fears. And a lot of times we use fear as kind of the root of all our limiting beliefs, and then we don't do anything. We don't take action. You don't take action because you're scared of the unknown. And there's something really comfortable about things staying just the exact same, even if it's not ideal, because you know what to expect. Fear cannot be the thing that holds you back. You need to feel it, you need to label it, and you need to do the thing anyways. I'm telling you, once you were able to do that, once you're able to be like, thank you, fear, I understand you're trying to protect me, and you're able to move on and do whatever it is you want to do, there's just so much power and victory in that. It's amazing. It's the most incredible feeling, but fear will happen. So let's talk about some of the ways to start overcoming limiting beliefs, because I've talked a lot about kind of their anatomy, where they come from, the different types, how they might present themselves in your life. So let's talk a little bit about how you can begin to overcome them. First things first, and I talk about this constantly, you need to start small. Limiting beliefs did not develop overnight. It wasn't like you went to bed and this morning, like something happened last night, you went to bed and this morning you have a limiting belief. It's not like that. It's so deeply ingrained in who you are 9 times out of 10 that if you have multiples of them, like if you have on that list, if you were like, oh man, 5 of those relate to me, if you're like 5 limiting beliefs, if you start to try and, dissect 5 of them all at once, you're going to get overwhelmed and do nothing. So start small. Take the biggest limiting belief that stood out or stands out for you, or the one you think is holding you back the most, and start to understand it. Pick it apart. Understand the root. Ask yourself the story. Am I still holding my grade 9 art teacher's comments as my foundation? Am I still believing that that's true? Because sometimes if you can understand the origin of it, and sometimes and this can be a great journaling activity where you can write kind of like the limiting belief and then think about, like, where did this come from? Who told me this? Where is the evidence to suggest this is true? Where is the evidence to suggest this is not true? But start with one. Start very, very small, because you got to go head to head with each of these for healing to begin. You got to look each of them in the face and really, like, strip everything down to become aware of why it's happening. Because without knowing why, without having the awareness, without having the personal observation, nothing can change, nothing can shift. So you've got to really, take it one step at a time. Baby steps. Baby steps lead to big progress, as I always say. Another way to go through some of these limiting beliefs is to ask yourself, how is this belief serving me? And how is this belief not serving me? Because if it's holding you back, you want to know how that belief that is holding you back is actually serving your highest and greatest good right now. Because you're probably going to be like, wait a minute, it's not. It's keeping me from feeling fear. Oh, okay. Well, time for me to feel the fear and do it anyways. Or how is it no longer serving me? Maybe it served as a protector for a really long time and kept you safe, but now you don't really need that protection from that limiting belief. You could put it aside, you can put it away, and you can begin to release it. And sometimes when it comes to these things and working through some of these topics, you might need the motivation of knowing why it's holding you back for you to, like, kickstart and jumpstart and shift your current reality. So it kind of kicks your butt into gear a little bit, is what I'm saying. When you understand why it's holding you back, and you can see in black and white, like, oh, it's holding me back because I'm not pursuing my dreams. I'm not going after what I want. I'm not working on my health and wellness. I'm not, investing in myself to better myself. I'm not going back to school because I'm too scared. When you see that list of reasons a limiting belief is not serving you, you're like, whoa, I cannot let this stand in my way anymore. I need to make this top priority. It serves as a reality check is what it does. Number 3, think about, what if you're wrong? Challenge that limiting belief. If your limiting belief, and I'm going to keep using the artist examples, I'm a terrible artist. I am never going to make it in this world. I'm never going to make it in the art world. I could never have my own gallery. I could never sell my art to anybody. It's not good enough. What if you're wrong? What if your art is amazing? What if your art could be sold for good money that could support your living? What if you were meant to have a gallery of your own? What if you were meant to have all of those things, but yet you're holding yourself back with a limiting belief that won't allow you to see what your own potentiality is? What if you're wrong? What if you were wrong? Use that one, put it in your arsenal, pull it out whenever you need it, because looking at things in terms of being incorrect about them will allow you to expand your mind a lot further than just thinking I'm a terrible artist. So number 4 is question your beliefs consistently. Awareness of your limiting beliefs is imperative to your success in undermining them. So if you're unaware of when limiting beliefs are presenting themselves and you can't pinpoint or notice when they're there, how can you begin to make changes? So question anything and everything that comes up for you, even simple things, right? So I have another personal example right here. I have the belief in my brain that I'm a terrible cook. I can only make toast and cereal. Okay? And even my partner, my fiance, knows, like, I have a lot of discomfort in cooking. And this is a big one for me because I become anxiety ridden anytime it comes to needing to cook. Like, if I were having to cook something for my partner, that would be very anxiety inducing for me. So when I think about this and I break it down and I question, like, wait a minute, why do I think I can't cook? Because really I can follow a recipe. I'll follow it right to a T. But if I strip it down, my fiance is an incredible cook. He's amazing, like gourmet. So I feel not good enough. Why do I feel not good enough? Because what if he says something to me and he's like, oh, this is disgusting. What if he spits it out? So that's a limiting belief I have in myself. But if I say, what if I'm wrong? What if he's like, man, this is delicious. I'm so thankful. And he's so happy and he feels like he's been treated. That's an entirely different way of looking at things. Now, I guess I'm sure he's somewhere in the living room. He's going to expect me to make him a gourmet meal. And now I'm having anxiety. But that's my own limiting belief I need to work through, right? So even question simple things that come up for you. And that will support you in moving through it a little bit easier. So number 5, ask yourself, do you have a fear of failure or a fear of change in general? So as I mentioned earlier, fear is the root of many limiting beliefs. So there is going to require a willingness on your part and an understanding that fear is ego-driven, that thoughts are not facts, that these are just your mind wanting to keep you safe, and knowing that the limiting belief is rooted in fear and being like, okay, I get it, but I want to change my life that badly that I'm no longer going to allow limiting beliefs to hold me back. So I'm going to feel the fear and I'm going to do it anyway. and understand that fear is rooted in the ego. It's not rooted in the heart. It's not rooted in, your energetic vibration or frequency. It's rooted here. It's rooted here, and it's not facts. So notice when limiting beliefs are fear-based. Number 6, start developing new beliefs, which is reframing. Again, one of my favorite tools, one of my favorite concepts that I'm consistently talking to you about here in the community is the idea of reframing, right? So taking the, this is kind of where, sorry, I lost my train of thought, which is why I have notes here to always go back. So as it relates to limiting beliefs, this is where you can start getting creative and infusing the new desired outlook, what you would prefer to think, into your day-to-day life. And this is going to take time. All of this is going to take time. So if the limiting belief is I'm not smart enough, if that's your limiting belief, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not smart enough, try taking a different spin on it, reframing the thought, and think instead, I like to take my time, gather information, and process it accordingly. So it might not be that you're not smart enough. Maybe you just need time to process things. And for some people, it's quick and easy, but for you, you need to take time. You need to process. You need to let it sink in, right? So that simple reframe, it isn't over the top. It's not untrue. Like, you don't want to, start thinking, you don't want to take the thought, I am not smart enough, and be like, I am the most brilliant human being that has ever existed. You're not going to believe that. It needs to be something believable to yourself as you're reframing these thoughts. And perhaps for you, I like to take my time and process is something you believe and you know to be true. So it's easier to swap out the two beliefs as they come up and as you are aware of them. Number 7 is mental rehearsal. Start to imagine yourself how you would show up and what you would do differently if you were successful in reframing your thoughts. So if you were successful in busting through your limiting belief, what would life look like for you? What would you do differently? So if you had more confidence, and this is something that I asked here in the community, if you had more confidence, what would you do? Some people said I'd start a band. Some people said I would open up a country bar, right? Like, these are things that if you had more confidence, this is what you would do. So start mentally rehearsing that. What would my band look like? How many people do I want it? What instruments would we be playing? What kind of music would we be doing? If it's the bar example, like, what's the perfect location? What kind of, would you want to have musical guests? Start to mentally rehearse what life would look like if you said, okay, I have the confidence to take a chance and do these things. What would it look like? And start to picture it and have fun doing it, right? And finally, ask yourself, what happens if I stay the same? If I let these limiting beliefs continue to control my life, if I let these limiting beliefs continue to run the show and prevent me from opportunities and having the things I want in my life, what happens? How much are you giving up? How much are you giving up if you stay the same? Because what if you're wrong, right? So, and then if you can envision kind of the consequences of clinging to limiting beliefs, if you can envision what you might be losing, it starts again, it gives you that kind of kick in that pants, the motivation to be like, wait, I need to at least give this a shot. So at the end of the day, even if it didn't work out, even if it's not exactly what it's meant to be, I gave it a shot, I took a chance on me, and I did not let that limiting belief hold me back. And I mean, limiting beliefs is something that I'm consistently working with in the Purposeful Insight program with my clientele all the time, because they aren't even aware. They aren't even aware they're having limiting beliefs that are holding them back. And it's not until we kind of discover them and point them out and understand understand them on a grander scale that they're able to start moving through them. So if limiting beliefs is something you struggle with, please send me a message. Let's chat about it. Let's see if working together is the appropriate fit for you, because trust me, you are deserving of having the things you want in life. Whoo! And with that is all for me today. If you liked this topic, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more like it, let me know. And if there are topics you want to see, as I said earlier, please reach out, let me know, and I will certainly do my best to oblige. And with that, I'm going to call it a day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.